All right, we're beginning the Rig Veda in our sort of quest to cover all the world's scriptures, or as many of them as we possibly can. So I'm just going to introduce the Vedas. The Vedas, so there are actually four different Vedas, and the Vedas themselves, even though we got our reading out of order, which we've mentioned multiple times in the Upanishads video, the Vedas are actually the oldest of the scriptures in India. And interesting to note as well, it's also the Vedas are among the oldest writings ever in the world. Um, Obviously, we know they're written in Sanskrit and written between 1500 BC and 500 BC, so pretty ancient and also a long span of the writing. Um, but of course, like all ancient texts, most likely there was some type of oral tradition prior to the actual writing. But writing, most scholars saying it starts around 1500 BC. That's pretty early. Four different Vedas: the Rig Veda, that's the one we're going to be working on; the Sama Veda, the Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda. And so I'm not really going to comment on the other three, although I do think the Yajur Veda is the one that's really focused on the specific rituals of sacrifice, like almost sort of like um, a handbook, in terms of the steps. So the Rig Veda doesn't do that so much, although it does emphasize the importance of ritual. So getting now to the Rig Veda in particular, it's the oldest of the four Vedas, 1,028 hymns organized into 10 books. And the hymns are obviously to deities. We're dealing with what's the word? Not pantheistic, polytheistic. Thank you. A
Hmm.
polytheistic religion, many different deities and gods. Um, so the hymns to the deities hit a couple different things. They're to these various gods and also natural forces. So there's a big, and you probably remember this in the creation and even the death one. Natural forces play sort of an important role in understanding, you know, their worldview and their outlook. Many of the hymns are petitions, so they're asking for something, which is no surprise with the religion. So blessings or victory in battle, prosperity, rain, protection, stuff like that. And and then some themes that pop up. We'll be talking about creation today. One would be cosmology and creation. Um, and I actually really like this about the Vedas, that especially given that Krish and I both grew up in the Christian tradition, um, a lot of the creation stories are speculative. So it's as if the author or authors are thinking it out while they're also accepting some of um, the already accepted theology, right? So it's sort of they've got the accepted theology, but they're also sort of like trying to figure it out at the same time, which is like less dogmatic than the Judeo-Christian tradition, where it's like, and this is how God did it, right?
Hmm.
And not so much speculative and questioning. Um, Also, too, as we'll realize, there are many different creation stories. So there's a
Yeah.
question about which one is, definitive or authoritative. And I don't think that there's an answer to that. And then another, so cosmology and creation. Another one is rituals and sacrifices. So that's another theme that's throughout, even wrapped up in the creation section that we read. Um, so it, yeah, emphasizes the importance of rituals, the recitation or singing of the hymns. And in my research, a lot of it was about maintaining the cosmic order. So this goes back to sort of Vishnu's role, which we'll talk about later, and of course to please the gods as well. There's philosophy and ethics wrapped in, as we already talked about. So there's sort of this philosophical element of like not knowing but wanting to know and posing questions um, throughout these hymns. So finally, just the Rig Veda is not it's not a unified sort of catechism or theology. A lot of it is sort of a different collection of poetry and expressions of sort of divine love or awe or worship, and these different themes. But it's well, as we saw with the creation one, there's no unified view of exactly how it happened.
Right.
All right. I'll shut up on that. The gods that I'm covering, so as we're going through the Rig Veda, because the gods pop up a lot, and they didn't in the Upanishads, we thought that we would just introduce some of the Hindu gods. So I'm going to be just working quickly through the Trimurti, that's Trimurti, three primary gods who represent creation, preservation, and destruction. So those three gods are Brahma first. Brahma is the creator of the universe. Vishnu is the preserver or protector of the universe, and then Shiva is the destroyer or um, uh, destroyer of the universe, but also transformer. So it's not because their view of sort of cosmic history is cyclical and not linear. Vishnu, you could look at destroying as being a negative, but it's not really being a negative. It's making space and making way for the next creation.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Brahma, actually, I was reading, Brahma is not, even though Brahma was a really important god, I mean, he's the creator god, right? Actually, Vishnu and Shiva get more attention religiously.
Hmm.
So there's more devotees toward them. But real quick on Brahma, Brahma is depicted as having four faces, and the four faces represent the four Vedas, but also they represent an all-knowing being,
Hmm.
right? I'm looking at the world in all these different ways. Um, Vishnu, I'm gonna have to look at this one. Sorry, I don't remember it all, but it usually depict. Oh, this was interesting too. He's maintaining the cosmic order. Part of the cosmic order is dharma. So dharma can mean sort of law or righteousness or order. So balancing this, and apparently, if the balance of good and evil is disrupted, he intervened to reset that balance. But by the way, it's sort of interesting
Hmm.
that there needs to be a balance as opposed to a full eradication of evil.
Hmm.
Um, the depiction of Vishnu. So I've got to look at this one. Sorry, four arms, um, and one arm is a shell, which represents the sound of the universe, and another arm is a discus, which represents the cycle of time. Another arm is a mace, which represents power, and then another arm is the lotus, which represents purity. So sort of balance, and it also gives the idea of like four arms sort of balancing, where he doesn't have four faces, he has four arms sort of
Hmm.
balancing things. Finally, Shiva, the destroyer, transformer, ends each cycle to bring about the next one, usually depicted with a third eye. Um, so that's wisdom and insight. A trident, a snake around his neck, the river Ganges flowing from his hair. This guy's awesome. Okay, and usually dancing, sort of like on one foot. I think you've seen like the image of Shiva,
Yeah.
um, sort of dancing. So uh, there you go. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, sort of three primary gods. Also, sort of interesting to compare to Christianity. Sort of I'm not saying it is a trinity, but I mean it is a type of trinity, but it's not the Christian doctrine fully of the Trinity.
Hmm.
Although Brahma does not sound a lot like God the Father, you know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Creator, right? You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah. Interesting.
so um, so that's my intro.
Cool. Do you don't know if you know it off the top of your head, but
Yeah,
the Rig Veda is a collection of hymns. When was it what's the word, codified as the Rig Veda? And like where did the hymns come from? Do you know?
that's really good.
Okay.
I don't. So I like, in other words, right? If you have a span of 1500 to 500 BC, then you've got, at some point, it almost could be sort of like you're asking a canonical question.
Hmm.
So it's like when was it sort of like, codified or put together? I'm imagining a lot like our discussion about the canon of the New Testament years ago.
Hmm.
I would imagine if humans function in this way, there's a lot of writings, like with the Christian one, there were a lot of writings, and they were being used in different ways. And then after a while, after a while, well, actually, after a while, they coalesced
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't just a dogmatic creedal. I'm sorry, an ecumenical statement where like the church came in and said, "Okay, this is it." I mean, they did do that, but it was organic
Mm-hmm.
in its development, especially as they were speaking out against Gnostics,
Right.
because they were Gnostic Christian texts. Um, so I would imagine there's this period of them being written, used, floating about without a full coalescing, and when that coalescing happened, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. And like the
Yeah.
Upanishads, those were like based off of one, like primarily based off of one person, right?
No,
One guru.
I think they had multiple. I think they had multiple writers.
No, no.
There was
I
one.
mean
Oh,
the
you mean
collection
the?
of the Upanishads was
Oh,
determined based
correct.
off of one,
Yes, that is
like
correct. There
guru
was
or
one
yeah,
particular guru that was, I can't think of his name right, like Shankara or something like that,
mm-hmm. Who commented on
made
them,
it, who
right?
commented on them, and then that made the 10 I think that we read, or the major ones,
Mm-hmm.
a type of like mini canon, but not to disregard the other Upanishads.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Yeah.
Whereas in a with as with the as comparison with the New Testament canon, that already delineates like this is canonical, these are not,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Like the Gospel of Peter. Sorry, it's not, it's not canonical. It's, you can't use it for doctrine, truth, you know, edification.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it might be more similar to like the two different sets of Upanishads might be similar to the Apocrypha in the Old Testament. So Protestants don't include some of the apocryphal books, Catholics do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you, although they don't make it, yeah. I'm sorry. So those ones that are quote unquote apocryphal in the Old Testament are still necessary for uh, instruction, ethical guidance, and truth.
Mm-hmm.
So they're apocrypha, but tucked into the canon. That's how I sort of view the Upanishads. Sort of there's the main canon, but the other ones are as important.
Right. Right.
You know, they just weren't commented on by the guy. You know.
The guy. Yeah.
All right, you want to take creation or
Sure.
start us with creation? This is crazy. So however you want to start it. I mean, we should just mention um to the viewer that these are excerpts.
Yeah.
So we have like a theme. Today's two themes and chapters were creation and death, and then there are excerpts. The author does a great job introducing and giving extensive footnotes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so yeah, it's not as if we're getting like a full deep reading on one hymn or something like that. We're getting
Mm-hmm.
selections of hymns.
Yeah, and I think in the introduction she mentions like the whole process for these notes and like culling down and
Yeah.
the fact that this is not meant to be like something that's very heavily studied by scholars, like you want to go to other
Yes.
texts for that, but this
Hmm.
is like an easier read and that the notes are meant to be just enough that it adds more to like enough context to what you're
Yes,
reading.
exactly. So the
Yeah.
foot, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say extensive because she did comment that she was balancing the footnotes. So I think
Hmm.
that she's only giving the essential footnotes. I will say the footnotes were really helpful though.
Oh yeah, I
So
think.
reading
Hmm.
reading the little introduction and then the excerpt
Yeah.
and then the footnotes. And we're talking like, I mean, for the first one, it was all of what? Oh, 2 pages or a page and a half of
Yeah.
introduction, text, and footnotes. But the
Yeah.
footnotes were helpful.
Yeah, and I mean something that's confusing. Something I haven't quite gotten used to is like so each of these hymns is numbered, right? So like the first one that
Hmm.
we're reading is 10.129,
Right,
and
right.
then each it has number of verses. And so in these
Yep.
footnotes they'll reference other hymns, and also we're
Other
not
hymns.
reading them in order. We're reading them according to the collections that were discussed. So,
Yeah,
um,
and also too, she even says that she used her. her own sense of what would be interesting to
Yeah.
include, right?
Yeah.
So it's not these are not, if we'd gotten a different book, we'd be maybe reading different
We're
hymns.
not
You know?
reading all 1200 or whatever it
No, we're
was.
not. 1028.
Yeah, 1028. So, but yeah, I think just as a quick,
It,
like,
actually, yeah, go for it.
yeah, I was gonna say just as like a quick sense comparing
Hmm.
this to the Upanishads, I find this a bit harder to read. I
Agreed.
don't, it doesn't stick as well. I feel like the Upanishads, maybe it's just the translation, maybe it's the
Yeah,
content. The Upanishads
yeah.
were like very poetic, and I felt like
Hmm.
it seeped into my brain more, and it was just
Yes.
easier for me to like grasp onto with the imagery and
Yeah.
like the comparisons, analogies, also the repetition. Whereas I feel like here, it being more ritualistic and more descriptive than
Yeah.
poetic,
Yeah.
it's a bit harder for me to follow. So
Yeah.
if I
No,
miss
I'm with
stuff,
you.
then then that's probably
No,
why.
I felt the same. I felt
Okay.
the same. I mean, I think that the context is, I mean, you have hymns that are written, over 1,000 year period.
Yeah.
So, right. And because of, I mean, obviously there is poetic content, a lot of poetic content. Um, but also too, there's when you said repetition, that made me think about, like, okay, here we go again. Atman is Brahman.
Hmm.
Control the senses, one pointed attention. Like, we kept on getting this over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
This not so much.
Yeah.
We're we're sort of getting like this snapshot of a hymn, and then the next snapshot
Hmm.
is not like this,
Yeah.
and they're not unified. I mean, we have one creation hymn at the beginning, and
Hmm.
then the second creation hymn is, it deals with the golden embryo,
Hmm.
like a different approach to how the universe was created.
Yeah.
So I think that's valid.
Hmm.
We'll just do our best to
Yeah.
take a stab at it.
Yeah, so I think, I mean,
First,
something
oh
that's
yeah,
interesting, like we get a bunch of different types of creation, right? And so it's like
yeah,
we get this kind of um, similar to the Bible, the separation of sky and earth.
hmm
Um,
hmm hmm
and but then you also have like in another one, the man
the
was
man who's right,
separated into
this
four
cosmic
quarters,
man.
and three of
Yeah,
those quarters ascend and one remains, and that is all the creatures.
right.
And then you also have this idea of sacrifice, like
Hmm.
a creation kind of,
Yes,
um,
yes.
where it's
Sacrifice wrapped into,
hmm so we have
or if
all
you
these,
will, creation as sacrifice.
yeah,
Although
creation
with
as
the,
sacrifice.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, we have all these different kind of approaches to,
mhm,
I guess, the speculation of um, the creation.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think from this first one, like I don't know, the opening
The
line here
first
is
one's
really
maybe a really
interesting.
good. I think the first one's good to discuss
Hmm.
because of its unique characteristic compared to the Judeo-Christian
Hmm.
creation story. The
Yeah.
the feel of it is very different.
Yeah. I mean, the first line here is like, there was neither non-existence nor existence then. It's like, boom.
Yeah,
What does
yeah,
that mean?
yeah,
But
yeah. Okay,
interesting.
so right, yeah.
Neither the realm of space nor the sky which is beyond, what stirred, where, in whose protection was there water, bottomlessly deep?
I mean, that
Um,
that right there, to me, it goes back to what we were saying about this sort of this speculative posture.
mhm.
This is not dogmatic. This is not, in the beginning God created the
Right.
heavens and the earth,
It's a
right?
bunch of
This
questions.
is this is I yeah. I'm not. Right. I'm sort of uncertain of it.
Yeah.
So the author or authors of this hymn, they're sort of in the position. Actually, they're sort of in the position that all of us are, right?
Hmm.
Right? Sort of like, how did it all begin? Or fine, we've got the Big Bang, but what was before that, right?
Right.
Sort of
Yeah.
puts us in it's very human in that
You
sense.
you kind of, I mean, so there are similarities to the Bible in that you have like there was nothing, right? In the beginning, it was
Yeah,
just the Word, right? And the Word was
yeah.
God. And so it's like here you have non-existence. You have in verse 2, neither death nor immortality, no night,
Yeah.
no distinguishing sign of night nor day. So it's like those were all
Hmm.
things that were created in the Christian creation, right, story.
Yes, precisely.
So you have that kind of similarity. Also, something I'm noticing here is neither non-existence nor existence, no sky, no, right? Like we're getting
Right.
the neti neti, no, no, no,
Yep.
no. And so you kind of
Yeah.
get to there's nothing but
What's
like
left?
what's left is Brahman, kind of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
interesting too.
No, I
Um,
like that. I
hmm
like that, and I do think with the similarities, it is. I couldn't help but on this particular hymn, the focus on water, right? Because
hmm
you have the spirit going back to the Genesis chapter 1, and the spirit of God was, I forget what they like, hovering over the water or something like that.
hmm
So which is a weird line actually, because hovering over the deep, and the spirit of God was like, oh, like moving over the deep. Usually, the deep is understood as water, and that's even before God starts creating. Right?
mm.
Before light is created, there's something primordial. Um, so I think, excuse me, I think what's interesting in line 3, darkness was hidden by darkness in the beginning, with no distinguishing sign. All this was water. So
Yeah.
water becomes the sort of like first element, um, and darkness, which is another, sort of similarity. I think also too with this,
Darkness was
you,
hidden by darkness.
yeah, yeah, there you go.
You
Like that's
could
how dark it was.
you can't see the darkness because it's hiding behind
Yeah,
the other darkness.
yeah. I mean, you've got poetry here, but then also I think you have and this was talked about in another one of the stories where one of the gods I think it's sort of like there's a two gods originate each
From
other,
each other. Yeah, they birthed each other. So there's a
right?
cyclical aspect to it. And you
Yeah,
get that
and
also with
all
the sacrifice too, I think.
right,
When
and then also sort of I would say is sort of an embrace of the paradox.
hmm
And so you have an embrace of the paradox here, right? It doesn't make sense. There was neither non-existence nor existence, right?
hmm
Right? You're getting sort of an embrace of the paradox, not being bothered by it like a Western mind would be like, oh, that's nonsense. There's got to be one of them. Um, so I think that's going to be throughout as well. Sort of like it's not going to make sort of perfect, rational, or scientific sense,
I would say
right?
logical probably.
Or logical. Yeah,
Or at least
yeah,
East
logical sense.
Western logic, right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
heard that Eastern logic is actually different because it allows
Yeah,
for paradoxes, which gives you
yeah,
kind of a different system, which is interesting.
sure. Yeah. No, no,
And
no. I
something
agree.
since we're talking about this, something that popped into my mind is like, okay, well, this idea of non-existence nor existence, you can't have like the word non-existence means that it's not existent, and then
Right.
the existence is, and so it's like
Yeah.
from a Western logical standpoint, that just doesn't make sense because you can't have
Yeah.
both. Something has to be true, right? You can't have both be
Right.
false.
Right.
But if you just
Let me
play it
grab.
out, okay,
No, no joke. I need to grab some water, but
okay,
you can continue to talk.
yeah. So, but if you play it out, um, it's interesting because what if the parameter that allows existence or non-existence like doesn't exist yet? Like it
Yeah.
isn't present
Oh
yet,
no, that's
right?
true.
And so it's
That's
like
true.
or like with darkness and lightness, right? Like, well, maybe that's not day or night, right? Like you don't have
Yeah.
day or night until you have a sun and a moon, and or like you or
Right.
a sun and an earth, right? So if you don't
Right.
have either of them, then you don't have day and you don't have night. You just have
Mhm.
void. And so it's like
Yeah.
you can kind of understand it a little bit from that perspective in that it's like it has not been initiated yet, so you cannot have either states
Yes.
until it
Yes.
has
Yes.
been
Yes.
initiated.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Because in other words, I guess you could say it's hard to even say that there is nothing. But if there is
Yeah.
nothing, if there is nothing, then it's what it seems like you're getting at is that you're in a particularly unique state
hmm
where the concept of difference doesn't even exist,
Right. hmm
as it were, right?
Yeah.
There's no background by which to base this is different than that.
Yep. Like
You with me?
if you were in outer space, just teleported to outer space, and somebody asked you,
Yeah,
"Is it day or night?" You're like, "It's neither."
yeah,
But if you're on a
right,
planet and you see the sun or you see
right.
darkness, then you
There you
can
go.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, exactly. So it's sort of like this. I mean that's what he's talking about. This sort of like period,
Mm-hmm.
so primordial, so lacking in characteristics by
Mm-hmm.
which to say it's this and not that. In fact, you could even say like the darkness was hidden by darkness in the beginning. It emphasizes the fact that that you're sort of in this point where you can't put your finger on something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then something starts stirring, right?
Mm-hmm.
The life force
Desire.
that was
Yeah.
covered with emptiness, that one arose through the power of heat. Now
Which I
we get
think
something
is
that's
uh,
tapas.
tapas. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Goodness. All right. Yeah, arose through the power of heat. Desire came. I like this line. Desire came upon that one in the beginning. That was the first seed of mind. So something. I mean, like if we have to image it, I guess we could say there was Brahman,
Mm-hmm.
or if you want, just pure mind, and then something starts stirring within that mind that then starts to create.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Yeah.
it seems like, well, it's funny. Line four is, well, actually, it's the last line of three, right? The life force I just read that was
Mm-hmm.
covered with emptiness that once arose through the power of heat. Four, I guess, really does it. Four is really the start.
Yeah.
Four is the start of the creative act. Desire came upon that one in the beginning. That was the first seed of mind. Poets seeking in their heart with wisdom found the bond of existence. There you go. Found the bond of existence in non-existence. Um, uh, but what's interesting is that almost the rest of the hymn, yeah, there's not much left, is
Just a bunch of
inquisitive.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've, I mean, if you wanted to walk away with anything from this, there's a lot of unknowns other than that, according to this author, desire, or if you will, hold on, yeah, desire is the spark of creation.
Mm-hmm. Desire and heat, right? Tapas. I think
Yeah,
tapas can also be translated to desire. I think.
yeah, desire. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, um, you know, was there below? Was there above? Right?
Yeah.
Who really knows? Who will here proclaim it? Whence was it produced? Whence is the creation? The gods came afterwards with the creation of the universe. Who then knows whence it is arisen? I mean, it's like
Yeah. The only kind of
a
statements you
lot of,
get that are not questions are in line five, right? After
yeah,
was there below, was there above? You get there were seed placers, there were powers,
yeah,
there was impulse beneath, there was giving forth above, but then it's all
yeah,
questions.
yep, yeah. So, like we said at the beginning, this would easily be in the speculative category.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering why. But I have to be honest, I think it's a really good hymn to start with in the creation category
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it's very foreign to the Western mind.
Mm-hmm.
Either with, if you take the scientific story of the Big Bang, which is all very logical,
Mm-hmm.
right, and empirically based, and or the Judeo-Christian one, which we referenced already, which is it's just straightforward. There's, fine, you could ask little questions like, the Spirit of God was hovering over the deep before God even creates. So what's the deep? Is that just emptiness?
Right.
Is it water? So there's not much to ask. I mean, you could ask questions of the text. I'm not saying that, but there's not. It's very much. It's much more direct. This is in concrete. This is what I did on day one. This is what I did. And
Right.
and creation is good. It's dogmatic. It's literally like, here's the author. The author's being clear. Here's how it happened.
Yeah. And then,
And
I
this was
mean, you
very
have
interesting in terms of it's it's a hymn. I mean, it's
Yeah.
accepted within a religious practice, and it's just chock full of questions.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
You
and it's
know,
like even in um like Genesis where it is descriptive,
yeah,
there is also the poetic aspect to it, right? And so it's like
quite,
reconciling the text with the
yeah,
observations in reality or whatever
sure,
in science, for example. It's
yeah,
like, some people will have to analyze it as poetic versus literal and that kind of stuff. So you get
exactly.
that,
It would,
but here it's
right,
just all questions. So you
yeah,
don't even get that.
yeah. What I think what I appreciate about it is, like I said earlier, is that it feels very human. It feels
Oh
very
yeah.
limited. It feels very finite. It feels
Hmm.
honest in that, very honest. Or if you will, here's another way of looking at it. The Genesis story is really looking at the question of creation from a God perspective.
Hmm.
This one is looking at the question of creation from a human perspective, right?
Sure.
With all of its limitation and its finitude and its wondering,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's nice.
So that is that one. We have the golden embryo.
A golden embryo, which is interesting because it can mean womb,
I'm sorry,
seed,
that's another
embryo,
section.
and
Yeah,
child.
yeah,
It's both masculine and feminine.
yeah,
Like the seed and the testicle is like
yeah.
it's
That's right.
everything.
Wrapped up. That's right.
So
That's right.
it's just like the origin of life, kind of, this golden
Yeah, God
embryo.
is the golden embryo or seed.
And so with this one, we have in the beginning, the golden embryo arose.
There you go. Now that sounds a little bit more like Genesis,
That-
right?
Once
Yeah.
he was born, he was the one Lord of creation. He held in place the earth and this sky. Who is the God whom we should worship with the oblation? And so that phrase is actually repeated here.
Yes, that's right. That's on. Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, that's right. It's repeated throughout
Yeah, throughout every verse,
until
basically
the
until the
last
last one.
line,
Yeah.
right? But he even references it. You know,
Yeah.
the oblation.
So here we have more descriptions about what this entity is, I suppose.
Yes.
Gives life,
Yes.
gives strength,
Hmm.
whose command all the gods his own obey. His shadow
Right.
is immortality and death, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I I guess like is the golden embryo considered a god? I guess I don't understand that fully.
The God is well. It says in the introduction. It says in the present hymn. Sorry, page 27, 4 lines down. In the
Hmm.
present hymn, the compound functions straightforwardly. The compound that was referenced earlier.
Hmm.
The God is the golden embryo or seed.
Oh, okay.
Um, so
That he is the god who possesses the golden cedar. Interesting.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, Yeah, and then like he in whose belly the golden seed or egg exists like an embryo. This seed of
Hmm.
fire is placed in the waters of the womb, so seed in womb.
Hmm.
It is also the embryo with which the waters become pregnant.
Well, that's also kind of interesting from what we just read from the first one, which
Yeah.
is the deep. What was it? All this was
Yes.
water, and then you have
Yes.
the seed of the life force.
Which makes sense because obviously water is life-giving, right?
Hmm.
We, we're mostly composed of water as humans.
Yep.
We need it to live. It creates life in terms of like the watering of plants,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It sustains life in terms of all animals that live in water, So
Yeah.
at some level, well, actually, not even just the ancient mind, the human mind should stand in awe of water, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like this too. The last part of the introduction, which you had
Hmm.
mentioned earlier. Thus, the range of meanings may be seen as a continuum of androgynous birth images: seed,
Hmm.
male egg; womb, female egg; embryo, child.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, so, But do we get, so it's basically the only thing we really get about the golden egg is the first line, right?
Um,
Does it give us more about the origin of
oh
the
yeah, I
egg,
guess you're
or
right.
is it just once that God's created, then oh no, there's another reference. Seven, when the high waters came, well, I think you mentioned this. When the high waters came pregnant with the embryo, that is everything, bringing forth fire, he arose from that as the one life's breath of the gods. So that's a little bit more descriptive because I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
just this is how he came into being. Now this is all he did, right?
Right, right.
But it does go back. It does go back to sort of describe because just to I mean, like after the Lord of creation is created, then it just describes everything he's done, right? Gives life, strength. Um, he rules. He rules over creatures. Tower over the mountains. Um, he created sky and earth. This is five, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, seven's sort of interesting, or six is interesting. He to whom the two opposed masses looked with trembling in their hearts.
The two, if you look at the footnote, this verse presents an image of two levels. The two opposed masses are armies, the polarized
Ah,
forces of gods and demons, asuras, who turn to the Creator for help. But
got it.
they also represent the parted sky and earth, who seek literal support, the
There you
pillars to
go.
keep them apart.
Yes, yes, yes,
The
yes,
image
yes.
combines in metaphor. Yeah.
So that also reminds me of sort of uh, uh, the separation of uh, the waters from above and the waters from below in
Mm-hmm.
the Genesis story, right? Sort of like it's sort of like a an ancient way of understanding, sort of like, hey, wait a minute, there's got to be waters above because it rains. There's got to be just like a big pool, a
Right, right.
big container of water, and that's where it's coming from. So the separation of the waters above and the waters below, and then the creation of a landmass in between, sort of reminds me of that, you know, that act of creation of separation, which
Mm-hmm.
you have here as well. I'm not saying it's waters above and below here, but it's a separation, right, of sort of land mass and water.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go again with the whole, and I think you and I discussed this offline, just about the element of sort of, well, one, well, no, I think we actually did talk about this in one of the videos, but the import of sacrifice and ancient religions in general.
Mm-hmm.
One, two, the interesting question about well, also why, like why is sacrifice so important, right?
Yeah.
But then two, it being entangled with creation, right? The last
Yeah.
footnote's really interesting. No, that's not true. 10. The footnote number 10, it's the last
Reduction.
line. Sacrifice is often an
Oh, oh, oh.
element in primeval creation, which is just really interesting. Um, in terms of, it seems like at least the Judeo-Christian notion of sacrifice is you sacrifice because because essentially there's a problem, right? Or I mean, this is not Judeo-Christian either. This is also like Greek.
Yeah.
We've pissed off a god,
Well, what's the
and now,
sacrifice? What's the sacrifice in primeval creation? Uh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
reference to well, what's the line?
Line
Oh, I
8,
see.
which were pregnant
Yeah,
with
well, okay, there you
doxa.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Pregnant with doxa, bringing forth the sacrifice. So, in fact, you can even look at, and I'm not trying to jump ahead here, but you
Mm-hmm.
can even look at, hold on, is it I think it's the next one,
Yeah, I think the
the
next one.
Purusha.
Yeah,
That
I love
that
this one.
that's the division of this primordial man
Yeah,
and it's essentially the breaking apart or dividing of that body that is the source of creation. You can
yeah,
look at the breaking up of a body as a type of sacrifice.
yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Not just sort of, hey, we have to do this. right? I mean, you're destroying something that's already whole
Hmm.
and might very well be happy staying whole. So there's something going on beyond just, listen, I need to cut this tree down and turn it into lumber. This is like a being, and the being is being destroyed to create.
Hmm.
So that element of sacrifice, like what, like what my earlier point was, what's the problem? If a sacrifice is ultimately resolving a problem, let's just put it in really general terms. What's the problem? This, this is the world's just created, you know.
Yeah, I guess. Uh, hmm.
But you get what I'm saying about creation, right? If the statement is true, and she's a scholar, sacrifice is often an element in primeval creation. What if I'm correct that sacrifice is usually a response to a problem, and say usually that humans, or let's say gods, created? Where's the problem? Like, why is sacrifice necessary in such an early phase
Well,
when really nothing's happened?
is it a problem, or is it more the destruction of one thing for the creation of another? Right? Because like in this footnote, it
That's true.
says Daksha represents the male principle of creation and is later identified with Prajapati. As the embryo of the waters, he is identified with the seed or fire, verse 7.
Yeah,
The latter then explicitly defined in this verse as the sacrifice or sacrificial fire. Sacrifice is often an element,
yeah,
right? But then when we look at the verse, we get he who in his greatness looked over the waters, which were pregnant with Daksha, bringing forth the sacrifice, he who was the one God among all the others. Um, I guess what I'm trying to the male principle of creation.
yeah. Male principal creation is daksha, right?
I guess I don't know what the sacrifice is.
Yeah, yeah. Bringing forth yeah. No, I would say that's vague, right?
Yeah, I thought for a second it
I
was
mean, it
the
also could be the
sacrifice
case,
of the embryo for life or something like that. Like,
right?
but I don't know.
I mean, the other thing too is there's a question of, is your camera off?
No, it's on.
Okay. There's also a question about you're in the Vedic culture as these hymns are being written. So
Mm-hmm.
we're thinking about like the origin of the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we are already in a culture which is a sacrifice based culture.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a question about whether or not there's a anachronism isn't the right word, but there's a interpolation, maybe, like taking a practice that they're already doing and putting it back into the story of creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but it's an interest. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about, and I could be wrong, but I
Oh,
feel like sacrifices are usually right to appease the gods. So there's a
ye
question about what's being appeased here.
well, I don't know if that's the case. Like,
Yeah.
the sacrifice seems different than the oblation, right?
Hmm.
But also, I
Right.
just looked at Cliff Note number 2, where it says the birth of Daksha and Aditi from one another, and this is something that happens in like the next couple hymns. So it's
Right.
like that's that one begets the other. So it's like the one sacrifices the other's birth, I
Yeah.
think, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like, um,
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
where is that? Yeah.
I mean, also too, you're right. If we look at the word sacrifice as being maybe this sounds strange, but not a religious ritual,
Hmm.
but more something something is either being transformed, changed, broken apart,
Yeah.
right? Then you could like, especially with the next hymn where you've got the this primordial man that's cut into pieces. Maybe that could also be seen as it. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily appeasing a god, but you are taking something that is you're taking something that is whole, breaking it into parts in order to create.
Hmm.
And maybe there is in that. I don't know. It's, I guess I'm sort of saying like sacrifices break as taking something apart to make.
Hmm.
If
It's like
sacrifice
loss
could be a
for producing something, or yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, and that's I mean that's my best take. Although it is interesting, you know, you know, this is it is interesting to think about whether or not the importance of sacrifice is actually um, worked into the warp and woof of the universe.
Hmm.
The reason I'm saying that's just an interesting thought. In other words, that it's not as if there's some primordial problem, but it's as if there that that's how the universe is structured.
Well,
I'll
it
just
kind
give
of
you a quick
seems like that.
example. I'll give you a quick example from the Christian tradition. You know, the medieval um, philosophers and theologians toyed with the question of the necessity of the incarnation.
Hmm.
So, in other words, would Jesus have been had Adam and Eve not sinned? Would Jesus have incarnated to save the world? Right.
Right.
But what's interesting is that so, in other words, what's the function of the second person in the Godhead? Right, because you think about Jesus as savior of the world, the sacrificial lamb
Hmm.
that dies to rectify, our, the fall, and all human sin and so on and so forth. Well, what's interesting is that part of the Godhead was there already prior to the first act of creation and prior to the first human. So, what would Jesus's role have been had humans not sinned?
I mean, I think
Like, there's
you're just dealing with predestination there. It's like, I don't know, right? Like,
but I'm saying his function wouldn't have been to be
I
a
don't think he would
sacrificial
have
lamb.
existed. Like, that wouldn't have been, that's not a world that can exist, right?
But if you take the doctrine as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit,
Hmm.
three persons, one God, and this God existed forever before any act of creation, before any human, there's a question about what is the function of the second person? Was the function of the second person just a nondescript until sin entered the world? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what my role is here, Dad. I don't know what my role is, and now I know what my role is because of sin entered the world.
Hmm.
Or is it the case that I'm with you on the predestination? Like they already knew it was going to happen.
Well, I would almost say that it's not that they kn well, maybe it is. I don't know. I would say it's more fundamental than that. If you, um, I don't even know how to word it, but like the fact that you have a, the Trinity kind of means that the world plays out in the way that it does.
Yeah,
Like such that sin is a necessity and sacrifice is a necessity,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so it's
No, I
like,
I
hmm.
I agree with you. In other words, if let actually this I'll use a different term. If the function of the second person is as a redeemer,
Hmm.
then that means it is primordial. That sacrifice, as it were, to sort of connect, is primordial. Like something, we're going to have to sacrifice. He's going to have to redeem.
Hmm.
And I don't want to say then that Adam and Eve or the first human sin, whatever it was forced, because then you have a problem. Like if it was totally determined. But let's just say that there's something about the nature, like if there's something about the nature of the God that incorporates redemption and sacrifice, then that says something about the world as well before it's even created,
Right.
which is of interest, And I'm just making a connection here to that footnote, and that big theme about just the importance of sacrifice, but also sacrifice being a almost fundamental
Yeah,
piece of
well,
reality. You know,
mhm. I think you kind of get that. I mean, we were talking about the tri was it
the
tripur
trimurti,
trimurtry? The
yeah,
trimurtry?
trimurti,
Trimurti. The
yeah,
trimurti,
trimurti.
which has creation, preservation, and death.
Yep,
And
yep,
so it's like that is the cycle of sacrifice. And I would argue that I mean, you see that everywhere. You see
Yeah,
the seeds of plants and trees growing, they
yeah.
preserve, they're there for a period of time, and then they die. But their death
Hmm.
just begets more life,
Is
right?
regenerative. Yeah,
Right? And so it's like we have this cycle of the circle of life with all of the living things in our world. And so it's like,
yeah,
in that sense, I would say that it's like baked into the warp and
yeah,
woof of the
yeah,
world, right?
yeah,
At that level. And maybe even you could argue that if there was no original sin from the Christian perspective, that
yeah,
is the sacrifice. That is kind
yeah,
of like a symbolism of the tripartite God,
yeah,
right? And so it's
yeah,
like, I don't know, maybe that's how you'd look at it. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I guess in
And
that sense too,
yeah,
sacrifice isn't a giving up something for to appease somebody, right?
sure,
It's just
sure.
like part of the process.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the end of one thing for the beginning of another.
yeah.
Hmm.
Or we could say this, that the semantic range of sacrifice is vast, would include appeasement, doesn't necessarily need to in every instance, right?
Right. Well, that's just
Right. Like,
like depends on how you use sacrifice. I would say sacrifice, like at
well,
its core, is just
okay,
like essentially loss or like you
yeah,
something is removed, but then you
that
can
is
use that
true.
as a
Actually,
tool
no, you are
to
right,
appease somebody,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah, right. I had to sacrifice my life because I had kids, something
Yeah.
like that. That's
Hmm.
a loss, right? At its basic, you
Hmm.
know, or whatever. I had to sacrifice my, interest in, this particular line of work or this career because of X,
Hmm. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I sacrificed my life for my country by going to war. All
Right.
of those include loss at
Yeah.
minimum. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so the more specific religious theological notion of appeasement
Hmm.
is does include loss, but
Yeah.
um, but it's
It's
uh,
towards
that
a
doesn't mean that it
thing.
needs
Yeah.
to be wrapped up in every use of the word sacrifice.
Right. 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 Yeah.
You with me? You with me?
Hmm.
Um, so like the one we were just about to look at about the man,
Yeah.
what is his name? Oh, Purusha. Um, well, there you go.
Not
The male,
mentioned in the text, right? Only in the notes.
only in the notes. Correct. Correct.
Purusha
Um,
Sukta.
the primeval male who is the victim in a Vedic sacrifice. Actually, ready? We got. Oh, this is the. This is the horse sacrifice. But we'll read about that next time. The horse is the primeval.
Mm.
Or you cross-reference it. It's a cross-reference.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Um, you have, yeah, him being sort of dismembered, right,
Yeah.
as a form of creation,
Well, he's got a
which
thousand
is,
heads, so
I mean, you could
he
lose one or
also has
two,
a thousand eyes. Does that mean there's only
yeah,
one eye per head? No.
and 1,000 feet,
1,000 feet. I'm guessing those are more
yeah.
less literal and more.
Wow, just let's just read that first line.
Yeah.
The man has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 feet. He pervaded the earth on all sides and extended beyond it as far as 10 fingers. It is the
That's
man.
crazy.
The man is always capitalized, the M
Hmm.
of man. It is the man who is all this, whatever has been and whatever is to be. He is the ruler of immortality when he grows beyond everything through food. Such is his greatness, and the man is yet more than this. All creatures, here we go, are a quarter of him. Three quarters are what is immortal in heaven. With three quarters, the man rose upwards, and one quarter of him still remains here. From this he spread out in all directions into that which eats and that which does not eat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you have,
Is this kind of like
yeah,
a Greek mythology thing where it's like part of
it,
the body became people? Or am I not remembering?
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to actually, trying to, wow, creation of a god into parts. I'd have to think.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not making the
I just have this
connection.
vague recollection
Yeah,
of something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to go through like all the mytho or the cosmologies I know from the ancient world to see if they're. I'm not connecting on the Greek one,
Hmm.
um, but the one that's really interesting is the Babylonian creation myth, Apsu and Tiamat. But what's interesting with them is it's sexual.
Hmm.
So it's two primordial deities, and it's sexual, and then it's out of their uh, sexual embrace that all the other things of creation flow out. Okay,
Okay.
so it's
Hmm.
not like God speaks it into being; they sex it into being, as it were.
Gotcha.
Um, and it's actually sort of interesting too, in terms of like, I mean, I'm forgetting all the details, but it's sort of like it even gets down to how the silt, how sort of like the silt in a riverbed is ultimately from them, how the horizon is also from them, and goes through those. But yeah, I feel like there is something about sort of the division of of a being,
Hmm.
into parts. I'm not, it's not clicking though.
Hmm.
But it's interesting, when you jump down to 6, we're back at the sacrificial notion, when the gods spread the sacrifice with the man as the offering,
Hmm.
spring with clarified butter, summer the fuel. Oh, nice. Spring with clarified butter, summer the fuel, autumn the oblation. They anointed the man the sacrifice. Footnote 8. Just want to see what they say.
Butter is a
Indicates the
common theme
sacrificial
in these
victim.
hymns too.
Yes, it comes up in the death one,
Yeah,
right?
it comes up a
It
couple
was butter,
times.
butter and soma, I think.
Hmm.
Um, so they anointed the man the sacrifice, born at the beginning upon the sacred grass. With him the gods, uh, sadhyas and sages sacrifice. Actually, this next part's good. You want to read it, eight through 10, as I continue to cough up a lung.
From that sacrifice in which everything was offered, the melted fat was collected, and he made it into those beasts who live in the air, in the forest, and in the villages. From that sacrifice in which everything was offered, the verses and chants were born, the meters were born from it, and from it the formulas were born. Horses were born from it, and those other animals that have 2 rows of teeth.
I love that.
Cows were born from it, and from it goats and sheep were born.
Yeah.
You know, when they divided man, how many parts did they apportion him? What do they call it? So we get some more questions. What do they call
We
his
get some more
mouth? Two
questions.
arms, thighs, and feet.
Yeah. What and then, as the introduction brought up, this is where we get the first indication of a caste system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you get which we talked about in an earlier video. Um, right, the mouth became Brahman,
Mm-hmm.
his arms were made into the warrior, his thighs the people, and from his feet the servants were born. So,
Yeah.
um,
The 4 classes.
yeah. So, I mean, what's interesting too, as we've gone through these 3 hymns, I mean, I would say probably the only unified principle is that there was a creation. Okay.
The
But in
creation
terms
happened.
of the creation happened, but in terms of like, looking for like what is the Vedic view on creation,
Hmm.
not there. Not just one.
Yeah. And
You
I
know,
think we get this really cool verse on line 16
yeah,
where it's just with the sacrifice the gods sacrificed to the sacrifice.
to the sacrifice. Dang.
So there's your cyclical
Yeah.
nature.
Actually, go to that footnote on 32.
Yeah.
I have it underlined.
18. The meaning is
This
that
is
Purusha
Yeah.
was both the victim that the gods sacrificed and
There you go.
divinity to whom the sacrifice was dedicated. That is, he
The
was both the
paradox.
subject and the object of the sacrifice. Through a typical Vedic paradox, the sacrifice itself creates the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get that 1/4 of him is like mortal essentially, right? It's all the
Right.
things on the earth, and then 3/4 were immortal into the sky. So it's like you can sacrifice the portion of him that was mortal to the immortal
Yes.
portion, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. What also too, because I made a footnote about cross-reference Christianity,
Hmm.
even though the 3 persons of the Godhead, they're separate but the same
Right.
substance.
Hmm.
Um, Jesus' death then is ultimately to appease God,
Right.
not just God the Father, but God,
Yeah.
of which he is a part,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know. So that's totally the case that the he was both the subject and the object of the sacrifice, right?
Hmm.
You know. I mean, we our brains have to sort of break it apart, so we're thinking more like, oh yeah, Jesus had to die to appease God the Father, yet they're both the same substance,
Hmm.
and not to forget the Holy Spirit, who can be so easily forgotten. Do we want to comment on death? There were like a couple more hymns, but do we want to take a
Yeah.
few minutes to comment on death?
Let's see. I guess just little quick notes from before we get to death.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure, sure.
I marked up the Allmaker a good
Yeah.
bit,
Oh, okay. No, no, that's fine.
which is
The
also in
Allmaker is the
creation.
second to last. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Go for it.
Um, so we also get kind of this theme of offering up things as oblation in the beginning here.
Yeah.
We also get in verse 3, the one God created the sky and the earth, which is, again, you have that kind of separation and creation of sky and earth.
Yeah.
What you have an interesting question on 4. What was the wood and what was the tree from which they carved the sky and the earth? You
Nice.
deep thinkers,
Nice.
ask yourselves in your own hearts, what base did he stand on when he set up the worlds? So it's
Yeah.
like, what was there? It's like, what was the ground for creation,
Yeah.
essentially, which is
Yeah,
really interesting.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. Because
Um,
there had to be one,
yeah, well, did there? I mean,
right?
that's part of the
No,
paradox
no, I'm
question, I
saying
guess. But yeah,
according to the author.
yeah, yeah. In 5, you get you who follow your own laws sacrifice your body yourself, making it grow great, which is an interesting phrase. I don't fully understand it. There's a footnote for it.
Yeah.
Um, it's all yeah. It's another the same thing with Purusha, where the creator is both the sacrificer and the sacrificial victim.
Hmm. Well, is this in the growing great is this in size or in character?
I don't know. That's not explained.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it says it's like you who follow your own laws.
yeah.
Oh, that might not be a good thing. That might be but like your own interest. Sacrifice your body yourself, making it grow great. Huh. But continuing, all
Oh
maker grow
yeah, great.
great through the oblation, sacrifice the earth and sky yourself. Let other men go astray all around. Let us here have a rich and generous patron.
Hmm.
So yeah, trying to make sense of those two lines then, you're following your own laws. That doesn't sound good. But you sacrifice your body. I just, yeah, that,
I mean, if you're the all makers following your own laws, it's probably fine,
oh,
right?
that's true. Yes, that's right. That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. That's right. I was thinking you who follow. Got it.
Right,
No, 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 you're right.
like
You follow your
us.
own
Yeah,
laws.
yeah,
You sacrifice your body. It grows great.
yeah.
It grows great through the oblation. Yeah, I see.
And then keep sacrificing and
Yeah.
yeah, let us have a rich and generous patron.
Yeah. Which also sort of goes to the idea. Oh, that's interesting. Is this it's a footnote? Oh, is that a different story? Different hymn?
Which
Oh, it continues on to the next
it
page.
does, it does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
the
but it
last
restarts the
line that I
numbering. Oh,
yeah, it's
because
the
it's
last line
82. Yeah, yeah.
that
Oh,
I
yeah, 7, verse
highlighted.
7
Yep.
is very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
You cannot find him who created these creatures, another has come between you. Those who recite the hymns are glutted with the pleasures of life. They wander around wrapped up in myths and stammering nonsense. So imagine
Yeah.
maybe that's recitation without true commitment or recitation without true um, adoration of the divine. You know what I'm saying? If
Hmm.
it's just if it's maybe just if it's mere words, right? Because reciting the hymns in general was an important thing, as I mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
It helps preserve the cosmic order. So this, I wonder if reciting here is not just literally reciting, but like reciting without thought, reciting without.
Yeah, yeah.
merely going through the actions, you know.
Interesting.
I mean, actually, it's funny. It almost seems Upanishadic
How so?
because the Upanishads were somewhat critical, even though they embraced the Vedas, they were somewhat critical of just the ritual mode of existence.
Mm, hmm.
So even so, if you take it as literally just reciting, not reciting meaninglessly,
Right, right.
it sounds almost Upanishadic. You know, you're sort of going through the motions, but you're not getting to sort of the deeper issues of transcending the self and increasing your awareness and
Hmm.
self-realization.
Right. Yep.
Oh, also too, they wander around wrapped up. That I noted that footnote, a double meaning here. The priests are glutted with the life they have stolen from the sacrificial beast, and with the high life of luxury they have brought or bought with their undeserved fees. Here the poet speaks of his priestly enemies who do not understand the meaning. There you go. So they don't understand the actual meaning of the sacrifice.
Hmm.
The mist is both the miasma of their clouded minds and the smoke from the useless sacrifice, because they're doing it for money
Right.
or prestige or fame. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I sort of forgot because I had read this 2 weeks ago and we had a little bit of a break.
Hmm.
It's interesting going back to it. Just it's like you know, there's so much sacrifice
Yeah. In the
in these
creation, in all of
stories.
these
Yeah,
creation stories, it's like all
yeah.
about sacrifice.
It's like I didn't real. I sort of thought it was like maybe one or two, but like going back to it, it's
It's almost
it's
all of
just
them.
written. Yeah, yeah. I mean, she was right in that one footnote. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
my suggestion, Christian, is we don't move on to death. We'll
Okay.
do death next time, just given
Hmm.
the time.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's a good idea.
any concluding thoughts on creation or the Rig Veda, this portion? I mean, you sort of
Um,
opened with the whole idea that it's hard to.
yeah, it's hard to, I don't know. I had to really mark it up to get what I got out of
Yeah,
it. And I feel like even then it's just like there's like some verses that just connect and then the rest are kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
okay. I don't
I
like I
think that
don't
I
know.
think the trick with in our reading of the Rig Veda is going to be seeing it as a particular genre,
Hmm.
and seeing it as a particular genre then helps us in our interpretation of it,
Hmm.
right? So it's both of us are highly rational, and so we're looking for sort of like as it were the argument or the steps,
Right.
um, so I think we are in sort of poetic mode here. We're in we're also the genres stretched out. The writings are stretched out over time, so you're getting different voices at different times,
Yeah, yeah.
and really what it is, it's perspectival, right? This is entirely perspectival.
Hmm.
One is looking at it as a golden embryo. One is the first one's looking at it as as basically a series of questions with very little substance. And I'm not that's not negative, but very little to give the reader like, well, what is happening.
Hmm.
Um, sacrificial victim, the man. You know, so it's a tricky genre,
Yeah. Hmm.
um, but it's seeing, I think, it's poetry, ancient, perspectival. It's going to be all these different perspectives. It's not going to be unified. Um, it's possibly an aid in our deeper understanding,
Hmm.
and maybe we'll get better at it with each
Yeah, I think so.
tap
Probably.
section. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Om.
Om
Om Shanti.
Shanti Shanti.
Shanti.
And one more, right?
Shanti. Yeah,
Shanti.
Shanti. All right.